Not a very exciting intro, but it should be an exciting video. I just want to explain it really quick because I'm not sure how long the editing process is going to take. If you're wondering what the title of this video means, today's video is going to be a list of questions that I'm going to be answering and my dad is going to be answering, but we're answering them at different times in different locations and we don't know what each other are saying. Questions will all be football related, you know, who's the greatest QB of all time, who's the best running back of all time, stuff like that. And even though you guys probably already have an idea of who I'm going to say, it's going to be interesting to hear what my dad has to say considering, you know, he's been watching football for 50 years. I also have some fun questions incorporated in here to kind of add some laughs and entertainment. Head over to gfuel.com, use code WyattzWorld, save yourself a discount on any G Fuel products, and let's get into the video. Alright, before the video starts, I gotta pop in and just mention something super quick. I recorded this on my phone for when my dad was filming his parts, and his voice is a little bit quiet. And we noticed at the beginning of the video, he has a little bit of a tick, so whenever he finishes a sentence, he just kind of touches the bar with his hand, but it makes a loud tap noise. If you guys are wondering what that sound is, that's my dad. So before I introduce my dad in the first question of the video, I think I'll start off with me answering it because it just makes more sense to go like that. And that is, who is the greatest quarterback of all time? My answer, not gonna shock anybody, it's obviously Josh Allen. I'm just fucking with you. Clearly it's Tom Brady, for me. Dude, he's been the Babe Ruth of football since I've been growing up. Like, he has been the best. This so happens to be that he has the best career too, but what do I know? Alright, let's see what my dad's gotta say.
Alright guys, I am back in the basement with my dad. Dad, do you want to say hi to everyone?
Hello, everybody.
Dad, let's start with number one. Who is the greatest quarterback ever?
I'm sure most people would say that it is Tom Brady. I'm going to go back in the years, and to me, at least somebody that's reasonable to assume is the best would be Joe Montana. 10 years, they won 4 Super Bowls. I think was MVP in the Super Bowl 3 times. Everything about Joe's career was exceptional, and he was back in the time when passing wasn't necessarily what it is today. So I would give the nod to Joe Montana.
Alright, the next question I got is, who is the greatest running back of all time? Now, I know who my dad is going to say, so I'm not going to say him. We would agree on this, by the way. But I'm going to let my dad give the spotlight on him because he got to watch him live. So I'm going to go ahead and say Adrian Peterson. 5th all time in rushing, arguably, probably without a doubt, the most dominant running back ever. The Vikings offense fed off of Adrian Peterson in his prime, man. He was one of, if not the greatest running backs ever. All right, Dad, let's see what you got to say.
All right, Dad, who is the greatest running back of all time?
With respect to Walter Payton, who I watched tear up the Vikings, it is unquestionably Barry Sanders. I think he played 10 years, had over 1,000 yards every year. I think he was in the Pro Bowl every year. Incredible running back, elusive, powerful. I don't think the guy ever got hurt. He did all this on a team that had nothing else, so everybody stacked up against him to stop the run, and he still managed to be, in my mind, the greatest running back of all time, and he retired in his prime.
All right, next question. Who is the greatest wide receiver of all time? Now, call me biased, Randy Moss. Super freak, man. 15,000 yards, 150 touchdowns. Now, I know he didn't have the longevity of Jerry Rice, and that's always going to be the most compelling argument because Jerry Rice has all those extra stats added onto his career. And I do think Jerry Rice had the better career, but I think Randy Moss was a better talent. Let's see what my dad thinks is the best.
All right, Dad, who is the greatest wide receiver of all time?
Although I enjoyed watching Randy Moss rip up the Packers multiple times, Jerry Rice, I go back to San Francisco. I think he's probably still leads in most all the statistics. A very smooth receiver. Again, San Francisco for 4 Super Bowls. He was a clutch guy. When they needed a catch, he made the catch, and there's nobody that's been really close to him.
All right, moving on to the next question we got. It is, who is the greatest tight end of all time? I didn't really get to watch either of these guys in their primes at all, but my answer is going to be a split decision between Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates. Both had 100+ touchdowns. Tonio Gates doesn't have that many yards. Tony G does. He has like 15,000 opposed to, I think, 11. Gronk is up there too, but I look at those two as like the legends of the football industry when it comes to tight ends. They were freaks before the freaks entered the league, you know? Okay, let's hear from my dad now.
All right, Dad, who is the greatest tight end of all time?
I'm going to go with Kellen Winslow. Probably a lot of people don't know who he is, but he was with San Diego Chargers. I don't know if stats were that fabulous. I think they were pretty good, but he was an awesome tight end, and I'd give him the nod.
All right, next question. Who is the greatest head coach ever? I'll be short and sweet here. Bill Belichick for me. Andy Reid is a runner-up. You know, you got Harbaugh, you got Tomlin. I really do like Mike Tomlin a lot, but they don't have the success Bill has. Curious to see who my dad says on this one. I think he'll say Bill, but I'm not sure. Let's find out.
Okay, Dad, who is the best coach of all time?
Most people would probably say Bill Belichick. He won 7 Super Bowls, I think, with Tom Brady. So the question is, how much was Tom Brady, how much was Bill? I'm going to go with Joe Gibbs, who was the coach of the Washington football team. 10 years, he won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. Besides that, he was the first coach that really was a hands-on coach. He wasn't standing on the sideline like Bud Grant or Tom Landry. He was calling the plays. So a lot of what you see now came from Joe Gibbs. And then he went on, and I think he's got Joe Gibbs Racing. So he would be, in my mind, the greatest coach of all. And the second one I would say is Bill Walsh.
All right, moving on to the fun questions. What is the best game I have ever seen? There's honorable mentions here, man, and my one that I'm going to pick is a little bit weird. Well, not weird, but you guys probably won't expect it. You know, Bills versus Cowboys on Thanksgiving where they kicked their ass was awesome. Bills shutting out the Ravens in the playoffs nearly last year was fucking awesome. Tyrod Taylor in 2015, the game I absolutely fell in love with him more than I already did when he ran all over the Titans. He set the single game record at the time, whatever it was. That was so fun. But my favorite game ever was last year when the Steelers came into Buffalo on their hot streak. Well, I think Washington had just beat them, but they were still like 10-2 or something. And Buffalo beat the living shit out of them. Score might not have looked like it, but the game wasn't close. All right, let's see what my dad says.
All right, Dad, what is the best game you've ever watched?
Well, I'd give a mention to the 1998 Thanksgiving Day game when Randy Moss tore Dallas apart. It's fantastic to watch Dallas get trashed and Jerry Jones cry after the game. But my all-time favorite game is when Brett Favre as a Viking went to Green Bay, tore the Cheeseheads a new one. He rammed it right up their kazoo. I've watched it many times. It's out there, by the way, on YouTube, 22 minutes of it, and it's great.
All right, next question. If you could kick one person out of the Hall of Fame and replace him with another person, who would it be and why? Me and my dad might agree on this one, but maybe not. I'm kicking Troy Aikman out. Fuck him, dude. Without his rings, he was shit! 32,000 pass yards, 165 touchdowns, and 141 picks. Fuck you, and I'm putting Reggie Wayne in, by the way. I know he's probably going to get in this year. Also, Hines Ward. I won't forget him either. Either one of those two. Get Troy out of there, though. Fuck him. All right, Dad, let's see what you got to say.
All right, Dad, if you could kick one guy out of the Hall of Fame and replace him with someone else, who would it be and why?
It's easy. It's Joe Namath. He doesn't belong there. He won a Super Bowl. That's it. I think Namath threw for 50 more interceptions than he did touchdowns. I don't think he might have completed 50% of his passes. I mean, the guy has no qualifications for the Hall of Fame other than he was Broadway Joe. He definitely does not belong there. As far as who should go there, as far as a player, it could be Roger Craig. I don't think he's in yet. He's with the 49ers during those glory years, a great running back. He could catch as well as run, but my person that I'd like to see get in there is a guy named Don Coryell. If you don't know who he is, everything that we see today in terms of the forward pass, the I formation, H-back, he had a lot to do with. And why he's not in the Hall of Fame is beyond me, because the guy really wrote a lot of what you see now, and a lot of what we enjoy is because of Don Coryell. He should be in there.
All right, up next, I forgot to record this question apparently, but who is my least favorite team? Come on. Dad, how about you?
Dad, what team do you hate the most?
Oh boy, that's tough. It's definitely the Green Bay Packers. Thought-provoking chant, "Go Pack, go." I don't know, the kindergartner wrote that for him. Skol, at least we've got a little force behind it, but it's definitely Green Bay. The Cheeseheads win it.
All right, next question. Who do you hate the most in the NFL? Me, it's obvious, Michael Thomas. I don't really need to talk about it. I think he's a clown. I think he's a crybaby. I think his offensive player of the year was because of Drew Brees just force-feeding him the ball over and over again. I think he's really good, but I don't think he's ever been super elite, and I think he's a bitch. All right, Dad, how about you?
So then adding on to the most hated team, who is your most hated player?
Honorable mention to a guy named Conrad Dobler. If you don't know who he is, you go back into the 70s. He was an offensive lineman for St. Louis. I think he played for Buffalo. He actually broke his hand and had a club put on it as a cast. I think he wore it for about 3 years. Google Conrad Dobler, you'll probably see an image of him with that club on. But for sure, the player that I hate the most is Aaron Rodgers. He'd be my most unfavorite player, although I will also say he's my favorite Jeopardy host. I'd strongly recommend that he stick with Jeopardy and give up football.
All right, next question. What announcer do you love and what announcer do you hate the absolute most? For me, I hate Troy Aikman. As far as favorite announcer goes, probably Romo. I used to like Collinsworth, but he's turned into kind of a dickhead with the Bills, so I don't know. I think Tony's entertaining to listen to, and he's always right about the plays he's calling. He knows what's going on. He knows football. Dad, how about you?
All right, Dad, as far as announcers go in the professional sports world and football, who would you hope to never listen to again, and who is your favorite?
My favorite would be Pat Summerall, and I feel sorry for all the younger people that never got to listen to Pat Summerall because for, 3 decades, he was the voice of the NFL football Sundays. He did the games with John Madden, of course, and before that he was with Tom Brookshire. Smooth voice, very fair-minded when he did games, and he added a lot to the games. Who would I not like to listen to? Joe Buck. The only reason he is an announcer is because of his name. His dad, Jack Buck, who was a good announcer, he's living off that. But to listen to him and Aikman repeat the obvious, repeat each other, I mean, guys, why don't you just get a room?
All right, and final question. I'm just adding this in there for the hell of it. I didn't even tell him that this was a question, so it's going to be very last minute. Kind of goes in line with the hatred, but if you could just line your fist, just lay out one personnel. It could be anybody, player, coach, announcer, analyst. You could just sock one person. Who would it be? Mine would have been Adam Gase if he was still a head coach. He was just such an absolute clown. He needed to be hit. Now it probably goes to Sean Payton. I just can't stand the smirk, the smug look he always has on his face. I just want to... I know he's a fantastic coach, but God. All right, Dad, how about you?
All right, Dad, and one bonus last question that I didn't warn you about. If you could just punch one person in the sports world in the face without receiving any consequence, who would it be and why?
It's a Minnesota Twin. If I could punch one person in the face, it would be Rocco Baldelli, because the guy is the most worthless analytical manager. He had to take those and shove them where the sun don't shine. The guy is a complete waste, and we're stuck with him.
All right, and that'll conclude the questionnaire from my dad. Dad, is there anything you want to say before we go?
People remember, if you saw the video I did before, it looks like the Vikings won't be in the Super Bowl. They'd be lucky if they made the toilet bowl. But the Bills will be there. So I'm going to continue to say, go Bills. I'm going to root for them. And everybody have a great Thanksgiving.
All right, guys, and that is going to be all for today's video. I don't really know what to call it. I still don't have an actual title for it, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, you already know what to do. Comment, like, subscribe, turn the bell on. I do my absolute best to post every single day. If you guys want to follow my social medias or my second YouTube channel or my P.O. box, or send something to my P.O. box, I should say, all that info will be in the description of this video as well. With all that stuff being said, guys, I'm going to hop off and edit this so you guys can watch it and get on your way with your Thursday night football game. Hope everybody has a fantastic rest of their day, and as always, I will see you in the next video.